Hey everyone, I never thought I'd be one of those people posting here, but life hit me in a way I still can't fully wrap my head around. I'm a 34-year-old man from eastern Nigeria, born into a deeply traditional family with strong beliefs in ancestral rituals and protection rites. My wife, Letitia, 29, is from a different part of the country. She's smart, beautiful, and bold, but also stubborn and dismissive of things she doesn't understand. We've been married for 3 years. When we got engaged, my late father warned me, if she enters this family, she must go through the ancestral rite of Umudu. It's a protective ritual, ancient, passed down through generations of firstborn sons. I did mine when I turned 16. It's not even harmful, just symbolic, a week-long cleansing with herbs, vows to the ancestors, and a night in the sacred grove. But Letitia laughed it off. No offense, babe, she said, but I'm not about to go crawling naked in a forest for some invisible spirits. I thought she'd come around. She didn't. Against my better judgment, I let it go. Love makes you compromise stupid things, right? At first, everything was fine. We were that Instagram happy couple, matching outfits, surprise trips, candlelit dinners. She was sweet, affectionate, even a bit clingy. But a few months ago, things started getting weird. She'd zone out during conversations, like she was listening to something I couldn't hear. She'd wake up with scratches on her back she claimed were just mosquito bites. And sometimes at night, I'd hear this low humming sound, like distant music, and she'd be missing from bed. I'd find her on the balcony, staring up at the stars like she was waiting for something. I asked her about it once and she snapped, "What? Can't a woman enjoy fresh air in peace anymore?" That was the beginning. Next part. Things got a whole lot stranger. Let me know when you're ready. After that night on the balcony, things just kept spiraling. At first, I tried to brush it off. I told myself maybe she was stressed, maybe it was just something she'd snap out of. But Letitia was changing. I mean really changing. She stopped cooking. Stopped praying with me. She used to love helping my mom with market errands or laughing with my younger cousins. Now, she rolled her eyes anytime someone mentioned family. She stayed locked in the bedroom most days, whispering on the phone at night in a language I couldn't place. Not Yoruba. Not Igbo. Not even Pidgin. Just strange. Hollow. Echoing. One night, I heard her laugh, not the normal, cute Letitia laugh. This one was cold, dry, like she was mocking someone from far away. I peeked through the door, and I swear on my father's grave, she was glowing. Her braids were lit up, faint but real. Like neon threads. I blinked. When I opened my eyes, the glow was gone. I asked her, "Are you okay? You look different." She grinned and said, "Maybe you're finally seeing me clearly." Then walked off. And that wasn't even the worst part. She started disappearing at night. I'd wake up and she'd be gone, no note, no call. Sometimes she'd come back by dawn, looking like she'd been walking through dust and wind. Her clothes would be wrinkled, her perfume replaced by something metallic, like burnt wires and wet soil. And every time I asked her where she went, she'd shrug. "You're paranoid," she'd say, "you always imagine nonsense." But I wasn't imagining it. I knew something was happening. The final straw was when I saw it for myself, with my own 2 eyes. You ready for what I found? Because that was the night everything broke. That night, I couldn't sleep again. Something in my spirit was restless, you know that heavy feeling in your chest, like your ancestors themselves are whispering that something's wrong. so I waited. Letitia had just stepped out, same excuse, I'm just going for fresh air, I'll be back soon. But this time, I didn't pretend to believe her. I followed. Barefoot. Quiet. The way hunters move through bush. She walked like she wasn't even human, smooth, floating almost. Her glowing braids lit up faintly again under the moonlight. I stayed low, hiding behind our neighbor's mango tree. She turned the corner toward the abandoned soccer field behind our compound. That place has been empty for years. No kids play there anymore, people say it's cursed. Haunted. And then I saw him. No, not a man. A thing. Tall. Thin like two broomsticks tied together. His skin shimmered like old metal, eyes glowing white-blue like dying stars. I swear, I would have passed out if I hadn't grabbed the tree to hold myself steady. And Letitia. She ran into his arms like she was greeting her long-lost soulmate. She kissed him, not just once. Long, slow. Like I never existed. I wanted to scream. To charge. But my legs were frozen. And then the creature, that thing, placed its hand on her forehead. She trembled like she was plugged into lightning. A bright flash burst out of her chest, like her soul was being scanned. And then I heard it. A voice. Not in my ears, but in my head. She belongs to us now. She refused the rights. She chose power over roots. My mouth went dry. They vanished in a flash of silver light, right there on the pitch. Like smoke into wind. And me. I was still standing there, barefoot in red sand, my heart pounding like talking drum. That's when I knew, this wasn't just cheating. This was something ancient. Something deeper. She had broken the sacred covenant, and now she was bound to something not of this world. And me. I was just the fool left behind. The next morning, I sat in silence. My tea went cold. I couldn't eat. Couldn't blink properly. Just stared at her as she walked around the house, humming some eerie tune like nothing had happened. Eventually, I said, Letitia, where were you last night? She didn't flinch. Didn't hesitate. I told you, I went for fresh air. You were snoring, so I left you to rest. I raised an eyebrow. I followed you. She froze. Her hands dropped the spoon she was using to stir ogbono soup. Clank. Then silence. I saw everything, I said, my voice steady but heavy with storm. That thing you kissed. The light. The field. Don't lie to me. She turned, her face twisting. You must have been dreaming. What nonsense are you talking about? Are you drunk? Do you know how crazy you sound? But I didn't budge. I saw you, Letitia. The thing had eyes like lightning and skin like rusted mirrors. You kissed it like you were married to it. She paused, lips twitching. Then, she snapped. You think I'm happy with you? You think your boring old rituals and prayers are enough for a woman like me? You never gave me what I wanted. Respect. Power. Prestige. That being, he offers me more than you ever could. Her voice was venom now. You tied me down with your ancestors and your dusty traditions. I'm done living like I'm in a museum. That hit deep. Like a machete to the chest. But what about love? I asked. What about the bond we shared? The rights we both took when we married? She laughed, bitter and loud. Rights. Please. I only did that for your mother? And now she's dead. That's when I realized she had never truly been mine. Not in soul. Not in spirit. Everything we built was smoke, and it had finally blown away. Still, I couldn't understand why him. Why that thing? And what exactly had she given up in return? After that confrontation, I didn't know who I was anymore. I sat alone in my compound under the baobab tree, just listening to the distant sounds of the village, goats bleating, children laughing, women pounding yam. Life kept moving, but inside me, everything had come to a halt. I kept seeing that thing's face in my head. The way Letitia looked at it, not just with lust, but with loyalty. Like she belonged to it. Like I had been the side piece all along. I tried talking to my elder brother. He looked at me like I was mad. You're saying your wife is sleeping with, what? An alien. It's not just a being from the sky, I whispered. It's spiritual. Something ancient. She didn't complete the ritual before we got married, and now something else claimed her. He sipped his palm wine slowly, not speaking for a long while. Then he said, you were warned about rushing things with that woman. You knew the ritual was important. Yes. I knew. But love made me blind. Or stupid. Or both. The days after that were a blur. I'd wake up sweating, hearing her whispers in my sleep, not in her voice, but something wearing her voice like a coat. I caught her standing outside at night again, whispering in a language I didn't understand, the sky pulsing faintly with green and violet light above her. I stopped eating. My friends noticed the weight dropping off me. I was hollow. A shell. Anger came next. I smashed the mirror in our bedroom. I burned her favorite wrapper, the red one with gold stitching she wore the night we first met. I wanted to hurt her, but the truth was, I was the one bleeding. It felt like mourning. Not just the loss of her, but the death of who I thought we were. And the worst part, she didn't care. She walked around the house like a queen. Calm. Cold. Smiling, even. Like something inside her had already crossed over to the other side. The woman I married was gone. All that remained was a stranger in her skin. I couldn't take it anymore. The lies, the sneaking around, the cold distance, it was eating me alive. So I made a decision. I was going to follow her. One night, I pretended to be asleep. I lay on the mat with my back turned, breathing slow and steady. Around 2 a.m., I heard the soft creak of the door. Her footsteps were quiet, but I heard them anyway, padded, deliberate, like someone who's done it many times before. I waited a moment, then slipped out of bed, grabbed my phone and a flashlight, and followed her into the darkness. She moved like a ghost through the banana trees behind our compound, heading toward the old forest path we were warned never to use after sundown. I stayed back, heart pounding, trying not to step on dried leaves. My hands were sweating. Every instinct told me to turn back, but I needed to see the truth for myself. After about 15 minutes of walking, she stopped in a clearing. And there, he came. Not from the sky. Not this time. He stepped out of the shadows, tall, taller than any man I've seen. His skin shimmered like smoke and stars. His eyes glowed with a deep blue light, not bright, but pulsing, like they were breathing. His fingers were long, thin, unnatural. Letitia walked right up to him. She didn't flinch. She didn't tremble. She smiled. And then they embraced. Not like strangers. Not like some weird alien encounter. No, this was intimate. Like two lovers reunited. I felt sick. Then she started chanting. Her voice wasn't her own, it echoed, layered, like several Letitia speaking at once. The air shimmered around them. The leaves trembled. A low hum began vibrating through my bones. I ducked lower, heart hammering, thinking I was hallucinating. Suddenly, her head snapped around. She saw me. She stared right at me, not with surprise, but disappointment. Like a child catching her father snooping through her diary. And then she smiled. A slow, chilling smile. The being turned too. It didn't speak. Just watched me with those glowing eyes. I turned and ran. I didn't stop until I was back home, locking every door, every window. I crawled into the corner of the kitchen and sat there till dawn, clutching my phone, too afraid to even call someone. That night confirmed everything I feared, and more. The next morning, she came home like nothing happened. Letitia strode into the kitchen humming a gospel song, wearing the same wrapper she left in, her face calm, like she hadn't just been out consorting with a creature that looked like it came from the back of a thundercloud. I didn't say anything at first. I just watched her boil water and reach for the tea bags like we were some regular village couple. But my hands were shaking. My heart still racing from the night before. Finally, I stood up and asked, "Where were you last night?" She blinked at me. Smiled. "Sleeping beside you, of course." I wanted to scream. "Stop lying, Letitia. I followed you. I saw everything." For a second, just a split second, the smile cracked. Her eyes narrowed. Then, just like that, she was laughing. "You were dreaming," she said. "You've been working too much. Maybe you need prayers. Or a bath with salt and palm fronds." "Don't play with me," I snapped. "You were with him. That thing. That creature. The one from the clearing." Her face darkened. "You shouldn't have followed me," she whispered. "You don't know what you've done." "What I've done?" I shouted. "You're the one cheating on me with a glowing-eyed sky demon." She stepped closer, eyes sharp now. "You think this is cheating? You think this is some village boy nonsense? This is bigger than you and your pride. You think you're my only destiny." I was stunned silent. Then she added, "All of this is happening because you made me do that ritual at our wedding. You brought that babalawo. You brought that cow tongue and made me kneel in front of it. You think that didn't block my spiritual path?" I just stared at her. That's when it hit me, she never wanted the ritual. Not because she was shy. Not because she was modern. But because she already had someone else. Something else. And she believed it was me who had ruined their connection. "I've tried to be your wife," she said bitterly. "But my spirit belongs to something more powerful. Something older than you." I couldn't believe my ears. I didn't know what hurt more, the betrayal, the gaslighting, or the way she twisted everything to make me the villain. And yet, part of me still loved her. Part of me still wanted to believe this could be fixed. But deep down, I knew things would never be the same. After that fight, Letitia didn't bother hiding anymore. She stopped pretending she loved me. She stopped calling me my king in public. She didn't even try to cook anymore. Just walked around the compound barefoot, eyes distant, whispering strange words to herself under her breath like she was communing with some other being. That's when things in the house started getting weird. Lights flickering even when NEPA brought full power. Goats in the compound screaming in the middle of the night, like something invisible was chasing them. My younger cousin Femi came to visit and ran out of the guest room crying, swearing that something with silver eyes was floating above his bed. I started having dreams, long, twisted ones, of Letitia walking into the bush in her wedding gown, hand in hand with that same tall, grey creature. In the dream, she turned to me and smiled. But her mouth was wide. Too wide. Inhuman. And she'd say, "You were only a vessel. I was never yours." I was losing my mind. I went to our pastor, Pastor Ikena. Told him everything. He didn't laugh. He told me, "My brother, some women are not of this world. And when you join spirit with spirit without proper cleansing, you can open doors not meant to be opened." He gave me oil and told me to anoint every corner of the house. But that same night, Letitia packed her things. No warning. No goodbye. Just a note on the bed. "You should have let me follow my path. Don't look for me. He is coming back for me, and I must go." I didn't cry. I just sat on the floor for hours, holding the note, shaking like a leaf in harmattan wind. That was the last time I saw her in the flesh. Or so I thought. Weeks passed. At first, I kept expecting her to come back, maybe even storming in with another lie, some half-baked excuse like, "I needed space," or "It was all a dream." But no. Silence. People around town started talking. Some said they saw her near the edge of the forest, dressed in a glowing white cloth that shimmered like fish scales in the sun. Others claimed she was no longer fully human, that she moved too fast, her eyes too bright at night. One old man swore he saw her floating 2 feet off the ground, speaking to the moon in a tongue no one had heard before. Still, I stayed quiet. I was ashamed. How do you tell your neighbors your wife left you for something from the sky? Then one morning, I woke up to loud banging on the front gate. It was my neighbor, Mama Nkechi. She was panting, holding her wrapper tight, barefoot, eyes wide. "She's back," she shouted. "Your wife is in the market." But she's not alone. I threw on my shirt and rushed there. And there she was, Letitia. But not the Letitia I married. This woman, she was glowing. Skin flawless, eyes silver like mercury, hair braided with shining threads that looked like they came from the stars themselves. Next to her stood a tall figure, covered in a long cloak, its face hidden beneath a hood. But I knew who, or what, it was. She saw me and smiled. Not lovingly, but almost mockingly. People stared as they passed, some whispering prayers, others just frozen in place. I tried to walk up to her, to ask why. To scream. To cry. Anything. But the moment I stepped closer, the air around me got heavy. I couldn't move. It was like walking through thick water. Letitia didn't speak a word. She only raised her hand slowly, pointed at me, then traced a symbol in the air, something glowing, pulsing like a heartbeat. Then she turned her back. And vanished. Not walked. Not ran. Vanished. Right there in broad daylight. No trace. No shadow. No sound. The crowd scattered, some screaming, others dropping to their knees. I stood alone in the middle of the market, heart pounding, hands trembling, my soul shattered. After that day in the market, nothing was the same again. People avoided me. Some whispered I was cursed. Others thought I was involved in dark powers because no normal man gets left like that by a wife who vanished into thin air with an alien. Even the village elders didn't have answers, just warnings. some rituals, once ignored, open the gates you can never close. I spent weeks trying to make sense of everything. I went to the shrine. I poured libations. I asked the spirits for guidance. The old priest there looked into the fire and simply said, "She crossed the line between worlds, and chose not to return." At first, I felt pure rage. How dare she live like that? How dare she lie to me, again and again, only to run off into the stars with some silver-haired stranger? Then came shame. How could I, a man who honored his family, performed the rites, followed tradition, lose to something that wasn't even from this planet? But finally, came peace. Because here's the truth, that woman wasn't mine long before she left. The moment she laughed at our customs, rolled her eyes at our ways, refused the ancestral ritual, something in her spirit began to detach. And I tried to hold on. I loved her. I wanted it to work. But love isn't enough when someone refuses to honor your soul's foundation. So now, I've moved on. Not bitter. Not broken. Wiser. I share this story on this subreddit because maybe, just maybe, someone else out there is ignoring the signs. Maybe your partner is mocking your roots, your family's sacred ways. Maybe they're hiding parts of their life from you. Maybe they're already halfway gone. My advice: listen to your gut. Don't ignore the little shifts in energy. Honor your traditions. And most of all, if your ancestors whisper a warning, you better listen. Because sometimes, losing your partner doesn't mean they left town. Sometimes, they left this world. Thanks for reading, brothers and sisters. Stay strong. Stay rooted. A broken man who found peace under the stars.